Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to the first lecture to the lecture of manufacturing method. Now in this lecture, now in this lecture we will study about in this lecture we will study about manufacturing method. Now in this manufacturing method, in the previous lecture what we have already studied about casting process and equipments and and before that we have studied about the fundamentals of casting. Now in this lecture we will study about centrifugal casting, heat transfer in casting, casting allowance and casting defects. So these are the leftover topics in the chapter casting, along with previous four lecture. This is the fifth lecture and this will be the end of our topic about casting. So this will be the end of this lecture will be the end of our module 1, that is casting. So the lecture objectives are to present the principles of different centrifugal casting processes. So first we will study about the different centrifugal processes, then we will study the heat transfer during casting along with the calculation of the solidification time, then we will introspect about the casting allowances to know the and we will know the different casting defects. Now let's start about with centrifugal casting. So it is also a process of casting, it is also a process of permanent mold casting. That means the centrifugal casting, in centrifugal casting the mold is permanent, but why it is differentiated again, because this centrifugal casting utilize inertial force caused by rotation. That inertial force which is caused by rotation is used to distribute the molten metal into the mold cavity. So that's why this is called centrifugal casting. So when we use centrifugal force, what is centrifugal force? When the force is when a body is rotated at high speed, then the body feels a force moving outside of the body, moving outside from the center of the body. This force is known as centrifugal force. Now due to this centrifugal force, the process of casting is known as centrifugal casting. This centrifugal casting is typically are of three types. First one is true centrifugal casting. In this true centrifugal casting, hollow cylindrical parts such as pipe, gun barrel, bushing, engine cylinder liners, bearing rings, with or without flanges and street lampposts, these products can be made using true centrifugal casting. Similarly, using semi-centrifugal casting, this is another type of the centrifugal casting, that is semi-centrifugal casting. This is used to cast part with rotational symmetry. That means such as wheel with sprocket. So sprocket wheel have rotational symmetry. See, this sprocket wheel have rotational symmetry. That means sprocket wheel looks like this. So this rotational symmetry can be made using this rotational symmetry can be made using this rotational symmetry can be made using what? Using semi-centrifugal casting. This rotational symmetry or this type of sprocket wheel design can be cast using semi-centrifugal casting. Now there is another type of casting, that is centrifuging. In centrifuging, any shape of the material, any shape or any design can be cast, but what we use here, in case of centrifuging, the centrifugal force in case of centrifugal force is assisted the material or metal pouring into the cavity. So metals are poured into the cavity using centrifugal force, so that is known as centrifuging. Now we will see about the centrifugal casting or true centrifugal casting. In true centrifugal casting, how it is done? The true centrifugal casting is done using using the molten material. That molten material is poured on the mold, and mold is completely rotated. By rotation the higher the weight of the material, the high weight materials are tends to move towards the to the outward direction, tends to move towards the outward direction of the mold. So that gives outside of the mold to be pure, and the inside and at the center side the lightweight material or slags are there. So these slags or lightweight material can easily be removed. So this is the mold. This is the side view means when we see from this side, we can see this view. So this is the side view. From here, from this true centrifugal casting, from this process we can make pipe like structure, that is, or hollow cylindrical structure, that is like gun barrel, street light, street lamp posts, pipe, etc. The process, the axis of rotation is usually horizontal, but it can be vertical for short workpiece. For small workpieces it can be vertical. And molds are made of molds. These molds can be, those molds are permanent molds. These are made of steel iron or graphite, and it may be coated with refractory lining. It may be coated with refractory lining to increase mold life. So it is coated with refractory lining to increase mold life. So refractory means it can withstand high temperature. This is refractory. Now in case of semi centrifugal casting and centrifuging, this picture A is the semi centrifugal casting. In case of semi centrifugal casting, what happens? In case of semi centrifugal casting, the molten metal is poured. From here. See, the molten metal is poured from here. Now, when it is poured from here, and the total flux in the table is removing, so that's why what happened? The molten metal tends to move outward. In this direction. Now, if due to this direction there is a drag. So due to this direction we can have the axis, the we can have parts which has rotational axis of symmetry, that means if we want to say this is, say our product is a sprocket wheel, that is look like this is the sprocket wheel. Okay, so it is the center, and these are the spokes. So what happened when the centrifugal force uh, push the materials the centrifugal force push the materials from the inside, from here, from the center position towards the outward position, to make this sprocket wheel, type of sprocket wheel, or any shape that has rotational axis of symmetry, that can be made using semi-centrifugal casting. In the book link, that is MP Gruber's book, I have given, you can see in detail about semi-centrifugal casting. But in general, the centrifugal casting means only the true centrifugal casting. These are the special type, so this should be known to you. Now in case of centrifuging, this molten metal is poured here. Now, and this table is rotated. The casting shape we need, or the mold, is placed at the end of the table, and when it is rotated due to centrifugal force, the pouring, the molten metal is forced to move towards this direction, and it will move inside the mold cavity, So pouring is done using centrifugal force. This is the concept of centrifuging. So what do you mean by centrifuging? Pouring by using centrifugal force, that is centrifuging. But centrifugal casting or true centrifugal casting is in case of true centrifugal casting, the molten metal is completely poured into the mold and the mold is rotated. The axis of rotation, in maximum cases, the axis of rotation is horizontal, but it can be vertical. It can be vertical in some cases. So these are the difference. These are the different type of centrifugal casting. So now we will move to the next part. Our next part, that is heat transfer in casting. So we will see about that heat transfer in casting. Now see, heat first the first this is the mold. This is the mold. Now this is the liquid state. Now it is again after liquid state there will be solid state, and there is interface, that is mold to air interface. Now we pour the material. When the material is poured, that is in liquid state with higher temperature. Now the temperature will decrease. And the mold will be the material inside will be solid after the melting point. When the temperature is below the melting point, the molten metal will be solidifies. And after solidification, after solidification what happened? After solidification, at mold metal interface there is a huge temperature drop. After that, at mold air interface there is huge temperature drop, and it is the room temperature. So this is the temperature curve. So how the heat is flowing? The heat from the liquid metal, is given off. The heat is given off through the mold wall and to the surrounding air. So heat is given up by the surrounding air. Heat is given up through the mold air. So this part, this is our cast, or this is our molten metal part. This is our metal part. So the heat generated, the high temperature or high heat here is dissipated. The heat is dissipated from here to here. So this is the direction of heat transfer. So remember from the first lecture that what I have said, the solidification begins from the from the wall, and it propagates opposite to the heat transfer. So this is the direction of heat transfer. This because here the maximum temperature is here, but the air is at ambient or room temperature. So this is the direction of heat transfer. So solidification will be from the wall to the center of the casting. So temperature drop again. So now temperature drop at the air mold and mold metal interface is caused by the presence of boundary layers and imperfect contact at this interface. So these small temperature drops are caused by boundary layer. And imperfect contact means there may be some small difference in between them. So that imperfect contact gives this temperature drop. Now the shape of the curve, that means shape of this curve, shape of the solidification temperature difference curve or temperature distribution curve depends on the thermal properties of the molten metal and the mold. So it depends on the thermal property of the molten metal and the mold it also. So this is how heat is transferred. This is how heat is transferred in the casting, and this is the temperature distribution in the casting. So these two things are important. And remember and see, you can see from here that what I have told in case of solidification. In case of solidification, that it is the solidification front. The solidification front starts from the wall and it moves towards the center of the casting, towards the center of the casting. So from here it is clear how the heat is transferred. From here it is exactly clear that how the heat is transferred. Now we will calculate for the calculation of solidification time. There is for the calculation of solidification time there is one rule, Charinov's rule of solidification time, that is given by C into V by A whole to the power n, where V is the volume of the object, and A is the surface area. Say from here you can have some of numerical. From here you can have some numerical. What type of numerical you can have? You can have this type of numerical. Say when a body with a spherical body and a square body with same volume can with same volume are heated, are being casted, which can be casted, which can solidify faster. So that can be given by this equation. So how it can be given? So we know the area, we know the volume of a sphere is given by 4 by 3 pi r cube, 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is the volume of the sphere, and the volume of the square cube, volume of the cube is given by a cube. It is given by a cube. Now surface area of sphere is given by pi r square. This is the circle pi r square, and similarly the surface area is given by 6a. So using these formulas, we can have the calculations. So now we will see that calculation later on the live class. Now for now just remember this formula. That solidification time is completely dependent on the surface volume by surface area, and this n is the index. It is a parameter. The value of n is taken between 1.5 to 2. Usually it is taken as 2, and C is the constant that reflects the mold material, the metal properties including latent heat and the temperature. So this is the solidification time. So now there is some calculation, there is some problem about this solidification time that may come into your semester exam. So we will solve them while the live class. So now what are their next topic? Our next topic is allowances. So see, if this is the pattern, so pattern means patterns are the replica of the casting. It is a replica of the casting to be made with certain modification. If there is certain modification, that is pattern. So our required product is this casting. This blue line product is our required product. This is our casting. Now the pattern is somewhat bigger than the casting, and the difference between pattern and this casting is known as allowance. So we can write pattern is equal to pattern size is equal to casting size plus minus of allowances. How, why the allowances are given? Allowances are given for specific purposes, so that we will see in the later section. So first, what are the allowances that are given to the casting? So first there is shrinkage allowance, second there is machining allowance, third there is draft allowance, fourth there is shake allowance. So these are the typical allowance, those are used in the general foundry shop or general casting operation. Now for shrinkage allowance, why shrinkage allowance is given? So as due to their thermal expansion characteristics, metals usually shrink or contract during solidification and while cooling to the room temperature. That means when the metal is cooled, when the metal is cooled from the liquid, when the metal is cooled, what happened when the metal is cooled? At that time, in the first lecture we have seen that if this is the temperature and this is the specific density, then what happened at higher temperature means from the liquid state, this state is solid state, and this is the transition state, this is the solidification or transition state. From here to here the specific density is reduced. That means whole metal tends to shrink when it cools from the liquid to a certain to its melting point temperature. From melting point to the when it removes the latent heat, that time also it reduced its volume. And after solidification when it comes to the ambient temperature, at that time also the material shrink. So this shrinkage are they can cause dimensional changes. This shrinkage can cause dimensional changes, and sometimes they can cause wrapping and cracking. And these are the and result following three sequential events such as contraction of the molten metal as it cools prior to solidification, that is known as liquid shrinkage. Second, contraction of the metal during phase change, that is solidification shrinkage. And third, contraction of the solidified metal, the casting, as its temperature drops to the ambient temperature. It has the largest potential amount of the shrinkage. So so this is the same thing. So that means what happened, this shrinkage should be taken care of. These two shrinkage, why this shrinkage should be taken care of? Because due to shrinkage there is dimensional changes, our desired dimension is changed due to shrinkage. So that's why what we need to do, we need to take care of this shrinkage. So the shrinkage can be taken care by using two methodology. First, for liquid shrinkage, that means liquid shrinkage means this is liquid shrinkage when the molten metal is contracted. So that is the contraction of molten metal as it cools prior to solidification. So this is known as liquid shrinkage. And contraction during solidification, this is known as solidification or phase transformation shrinkage. So this liquid shrinkage and the solidification shrinkage is taken care by riser. These two are taken care by riser. So in the riser, what we have studied when we are studying riser, what we have studied, riser can be used as a feeder, or it can be used as a reservoir of molten material, and which is supplied when needed. So when contraction, when liquid shrinkage and solidification shrinkage has been occurring, at that time what happened, riser can supply molten material so that that shrinkage is minimized. Now by now, when the molten material is completely solidified, after that it comes to the after that it comes to the ambient temperature. While it comes to the ambient temperature, what happened, while it comes to the ambient temperature, at that time one shrinkage is there, and that shrinkage means only solid shrinkage is the largest potential amount of shrinkage. So this solid shrinkage is taken care by using shrinkage allowance. So this is the importance of the shrinkage allowance, that it takes care of the largest potential amount of shrinkage that occurs during cooling of casting to the ambient temperature. So this is the solid shrinkage allowance. It is a positive allowance. Shrinkage allowance is a positive allowance. That means the shrinkage allowance, this shrinkage allowance is given like this: the more casting will be larger than the pattern will be larger than the casting. This type of shrinkage is known as positive. This type of allowance is known as positive allowance, and in case of shrinkage allowance, it is a positive allowance. Now we will see about machining allowance. The machining allowance can be given. So after the shrinkage allowance, what is there? That is machining allowance. Machining allowance is there. Why the machining allowance is given? Machining allowance is given to facilitate further machining. So when the casting has been done, we need a perfect surface finish. That surface finish can be achieved using machining process. So that's why some amount or some millimeter, that is x is added to the casting, that is known as machining allowance. So extra dimension provided on the pattern to compensate subsequent machining required on the casting is known as machining allowance. The purpose is to achieve the desired surface finish of the casting. Secondly, to accommodate the variation of dimension due to vibration in room temperature during solidification. And that machining allowance is specified by x per side. So it is specified by x per side, while the shrinkage allowance is specified by percentage of volume. Shrinkage allowance is specified by the percentage of volume, but machining allowance is specified by using x per side, this notation. Now we will see about the draft allowance. Draft allowance is provision of inclination to the vertical surfaces of the pattern, called draft allowance. Why it is provided? Draft allowance is provided to easy removal of the pattern from the mold. It varies with the complexity of the job, and inner detail of the pattern required higher depth than the outer surface. In casting process, if the pattern is made using wax mercury, then no draft allowance is required. Means lost wax or lost investment casting process or evaporative pattern process does not need any draft allowance. So if there is no draft allowance in a sand casting case, what happens? If there is no draft allowance, when we want to remove that pattern, when we want to remove the pattern, there is a chance that the pattern won't be easy to remove. But that's why what we give a inclination, we give a inclination to the pattern, we give a inclination to the pattern. This inclinations can give, this inclination can give easy removal operation. So by easy removal operation, by easy removal, the mold cavity can retain its shape, and pattern can be removed easily. So that's why draft allowance is added, and the draft allowance is the it is a type of allowance which is only needed for the mold which are permanent, for the permanent mold pattern. But in case of expandable mold, in case of expandable pattern, what happens? There is the draft allowance are not necessary, as the pattern evaporates or melts out from the mold cavity. Now there is shake allowance. Shake allowance is also given. Shake allowance is also given to shake allowance is also given. It is also given to facilitate that shaking of the mold, shaking of the pattern, for the shaking of the pattern, to remove the adherence of the pattern walls while molding. That means the sand can stick into the pattern walls while molding. These sands can be removed by shaking. So shake allowance is the wrapping. Shake allowance is the wrapping done around the vertical face of the pattern. It's a small wrapping that is done in the vertical face of the pattern. It is provided to avoid damages taking place due to adhering of molding sand to the pattern walls. So in the pattern walls there is a chance that molding sand can stick to it. This can be removed, this can be minimized, the possibilities can be minimized by using a small envelope or small wrapping that is given by the shake allowance. It is highly dependent on the mold making person or operator, as it reduces the dimension of the pattern. So it is a negative allowance. So shake allowance is only a negative allowance. Okay, so shake allowance is a negative allowance. If the pattern is made of using material like wax, mercury, polystyrene as a pattern material, there is no shake allowance is provided. That means in case of expandable mold pattern, pattern, there is no shake allowance is provided. Now we will see about the defects. There is various type of defects. The first one is metallic projection. Metallic projection, what are the metallic projection? Fins, flash or projections such as swells and rough surfaces are the metallic projection category of the casting defects. Secondly, there is cavities. Cavities, that means rounded or rough internal or exposed cavity, which includes blowhole, pinhole, sinkage cavities. These are the cavities category. Third is discontinuity. Discontinuities means cracks, cold or hot tearing, and cold shut. So these are the discontinuities. So why they occur? If the solidifying metal considered from sinking freely, constant from sinking freely, then the cracking and tearing may occur. Although there are several factors that are involved in tearing, porous grain size and the presence of low melting point segregates along the grain boundaries can increase the tendency of hot tearing. Cold shut is an interface in a casting that lacks complete fusion because of melting of two streams of liquid metal from the different gates. So next is defective surface such as fold, laps, scars and adhering sand layers, oxide scale. These are the defective surface. Third one is incomplete casting such as misruns due to premature solidification, insufficient volume of the metal poured, and run out due to loss of metal from the mold after pouring. These are the incomplete casting, and there is incorrect dimension, that is due to improper shrinkage allowance, pattern molding error, or irregular contraction, deformed pattern. These are the type of incorrect dimension. And there can be inclusion, that means the sand particle can include in the metal, in the casted metal or final product, that is known as inclusion type of defect. So here is some casting defect, such as first one is blowhole, second is scar, this is blister, this is cap, this is wash, and this is mishran, and this is cold shut. These are the type of the casting defect. So that's it. This is the in detail study of casting, and with this we end this lecture. And if there is any doubt, or we want further lecture for this specific topic, we will do it in the later section of our course. Thank you. Have a good day.